today we're going to explore things that impact how people make decisions about you, but also how you go about living, how you go about doing things, the internal motivators and the drivers that affect us as human beings and make us do what we do. And all of this study on psychology and what drives people is so important in terms of how successful you can be. So it's really important to get a handle on what is driving you, what is making you behave in a certain way, but also what drives your clients. So when I'm taking you through areas of primary intrinsic motivators, I want you to be firstly thinking about yourself, but also think, how would this apply to my clients? So let me just start with sharing these primary intrinsic motivators and the kind of things that make people feel motivated to act, to take action, to do anything. As I'm speaking today, I feel like what's going to happen is you're going to get revelation about things that have been impacting you that you may not have even realized. And particularly in one or two of these key points in how you're motivated and how your clients are motivated, I believe you're going to have some revelation. So listen with your ears, but listen with your heart. And don't get in your head too much around this, because this is just good stuff for you to know and understand what drives people and what drives yourself. Okay, so let me start with these primary intrinsic motivators. So the first one I have is control. So don't we all want to be in control? Who loves to be in control, right? Wanting to be in control can be a good thing and a bad thing. Often when we don't feel like we're in control, we have a lot of negative feelings that come up. We get frustrated, we get angry, we get passive, we don't own it. We can act out, we can try to have power by being resistant to doing something. And this often plays out, obviously, when we are around people that know us very well. How does it play out for you when you don't feel like you have control? Where is it that you feel like you don't have enough control, either in your life, in relationships, or in your business? How can you take more control? So there's a few things with control that I think about. There's two sides to the coin with control. One of them, obviously, because I believe in God, whenever I've surrendered control, then I've found peace. Okay? So surrendering control of the emotions or the stress or of a situation will help you find peace. I have found, in my experience, it helps me find peace. So sometimes when we're trying to control too much, everything, if it's linked to fear, if it's linked to anxiety, well, we know then that we're not coming from a place of peace and from a place of congruence. And there's actually, literally, the word I got this morning was interference. It's like our signals get interfered with, and we start to listen to a whole lot of static and noise in our head that is stopping us from having a clear path towards where we are meant to go and who we are meant to be. And so then when we start believing the lies that are going on in our head that surround us not feeling in control, then we start to go down into what I call an emotional spiral, a momentum spiral that's negative. So there's a couple of things with being in control that are important to know. One is, what do I do when I feel out of control? What is my go-to? When you feel out of control, what's the first thing that happens for you? Do you get frustrated? Do you get angry? Do you give up? What area of your life or business do you feel like you don't have control over? I see some smiles. People are relating to this. And what do you need to surrender firstly? What do you need to surrender control of? If you believe in God, then surrendering control will align with your faith. surrendering control will align with your faith, because you can't believe in God and believe in all that he says, but then not trust to surrender control, can you? And if you don't believe in God, what do you need to just surrender? So as you surrender, there's a peace that comes. So that's one side of the coin with control, yeah? And I know that even as I'm speaking, I'm feeling a peace coming over the areas that many of us feel so out of control right now because of the way that the world is with business in the midst of all this, or trying to grow a business. Most people feel out of control right now. So let's relate this. What can you control? Because we also have responsibility. What can you control? Often we get into blame or frustration or even indignant about things that aren't working. But there are many things that you can control in your actions, in even how you cope with feeling out of control, in your emotions, in what you do and what you learn and what you apply. And I believe that you can, as you learn the skills, take control and create a really successful business or career. I fully believe that you're positioned to succeed. It's important to know that the world may seem out of control, but you can control what you can control. Think about what you can control and what you don't have control of. And you don't have control of how other people behave, but you do have control about whether you show up, whether you pitch, whether you continue forward. Then the next thing you can start to think about is, what can I do to make sure that I can control my thinking or my mindset? What do I have to do? Because you can control how you choose to react about what's going on, right? And so when you think then about your team, your clients, how are they feeling right now? Are they feeling out of control? How can you help your team members feel more in control? When I think about my clients or even the sales process, when you're in a negotiation, I've been in many negotiations over the years in consulting and even in the corporate roles that I've been in. When you're in meetings or negotiations, when people don't feel in control, they feel like they have no power. The person with the most congruence wins the sale, wins the negotiation. What is it that you are helping your clients to feel in control of? Because if they don't feel in control, there'll be more resistance. There'll be more resistance to your price. There'll be more resistance to what you're saying. So they need to feel like they have more control. How can you help them feel more control? Start by asking really good questions is a really important thing, because you want to hear what they're worried about. You want to hear what their fears are. You want to hear what's challenging them rather than just pitching and selling. Are you acting out when you feel like you're not in control? And how is that working for you, as Dr. Phil says? And so when I think about like what I'm doing, I can help people start to manage and take control of their thought life around business and continue to learn to do that, to take control of their sales and continue to improve and get more sales. So I know I can help people get more control of their brand and their business. So I know specifically what it is that I help people take control of. So that's control. That's a big one. That's a big one. So let me go through the next. I felt like the control one was a huge one, because as human beings, we want it is one of the intrinsic motivators, right? So next one, mastery. When you start doing something, we usually start with bad thinking. When we start to do something, we normally freak out. Why? Because the brain likes certainty and we don't have enough knowledge or understanding about something and then it causes us to freak out. So mastery and competence, or competence is the first step to mastery, is an important intrinsic driver. You think about within a team or with your clients, if they feel like they are bad at something, or even with your family, If they feel like they are bad at something or incompetent, they either will not do it, or they will resist and throw a little tantrum, or they will avoid. They'll go into avoidance. People need to feel like they are succeeding. And I think a lot of times people don't stay the course is because they don't feel like they're succeeding. They don't feel like they're succeeding because they haven't mastered or become competent in a particular skill that they need to develop in order to be successful in the goal that they're pursuing. And when people start to go into overwhelm, and this is to do with learning stages as well, it's because they may feel like they've missed something and they have to go back and get it. So where do you have clarity and where do you not have clarity? For some, it's easier to accelerate faster. I feel like this is going to really help some of you guys give yourselves grace, because for some, it's easy to accelerate faster because they've already had exposure to something. So oftentimes when people have had negative experiences, either in work situations or at school or whatever, they have an identity about learning and they have an identity about succeeding that stops them from even trying. Your congruence in your identity is really important, because if you have a belief system that you have in your moments where you feel so clear, you have so much clarity about your dream, about your vision, about the promise on your life, in those moments where you have peace, where you feel love, they are the moments that are the most true to who you are and who you can be and who you want to be. So when you feel yourself being pulled into interference and you feel yourself being tugged in directions or overthinking or fearful or not moving forward, that is not in alignment with who you are. I feel like I'm speaking with a megaphone into your hearts and minds today so that you can receive it and hear it loudly over any thoughts or beliefs or lies that are getting you out of alignment with the path that you're on, to the destiny that you have, with what you're called to do. With what you're called to do. When you are out of alignment, you know when you're out of alignment, because you know that the thoughts that you're having in your mind are not consistent with the dream that's in your heart. So we must bring those thoughts captive into alignment with what we truly believe in our heart, in those moments where we have that idea, where we had that vision, where we had that clarity, where we had that sense of love. Bring those thoughts underneath. Those negative thoughts must be positioned underneath our spirit and what we believe of ourselves to be true. And that is the only way the cream rises to the top. That's the only way the cream rises to the top. And you start to get known and you start to get heard. These intrinsic motivators are so crucial and key to your own performance, but also in what you're going to help your clients to do, because your clients will find you so easily. It'll be like a slipstream, because they will feel so aligned with your message and who you are. Do whatever you can to stay in alignment, and also feed those moments and those environments. Stay planted where you feel like you can be who you are.